Hello and welcome to Blades of Thunder. Okay, so we're now about halfway through the build. We've got the first set of lights installed. We're actually doing this following the instructions, so we can tell you how it goes. I think it's probably been about 4 hours work so far. So we're going through nice things, and so the next stage, according to the instructions, is to build the mechanics. So as you can see, I've got them all laid out. I'm going to get rid of the fuselage in a minute. Looks like my cat's been cuddling up to the model. It's covered in cat hair at this end for some reason. So we're going to look through the model and have a look. Now on the Motion RC web page for this, under downloads, I believe it is you can download the instruction manual, but there is also another update thing that you must check, okay, and it's to do with the drive belt positioning. So you must look at that, okay, otherwise you'll get it wrong, and we'll talk about that again when we do the wash up of this build. So without further ado, I'm gonna carry on and build the mechanics, and I'll let you know how it goes at the end. So off we go. Okay, so here's the fuselage, the mechanics, and we're ready to go. And according to the instructions, we take the canopy off and the mechanics slide in down to here and they fix in. Now just around here somewhere is a couple of inverted L shapes, and the bottom lugs go under there and they're not screwed in, okay? So let's get on with that bit. Okay, so now we've got the main part of the mechanics in, we need to fit the raised tail. Now according to the instructions, we fit the tail boom in that way round, and then once it's in, we turn it around. So, okay, so let's get it in. Okay, so we've got the hub on and we've got it in. So the next stage is to fit the control rod and the thing. So the rubber dampener needs to go in first because the control rod needs to go through it. Okay, so just fit that in. Probably just want to put a little bit of a bend on it and then push it in. So it goes in. Make sure it's in properly on both sides, otherwise what you're looking to make sure is that the hole through the middle of this that the control rod goes through isn't going to bind. And then you take your control rod, put that in. Okay, now I put a bit of tape on mine so I knew which way round it went. So we'll get the top bit in first. Okay, that's on. Then we'll pop the bottom one on. And here we go. And that's all in. And once this dampener's in, the whole thing is locked up quite nicely. So dampener's in, tower controls are in. Okay, so next thing is to secure the mechanics at the front and then refit the covering hatch. Okay, so the next stage is to secure this end of the mechanics, and the instructions say you need to fit this clear spacer which goes under here. Okay, so now we to fit the tail cover on. Now when you do this, get it in position and do not over tighten these screws because they're going into little wooden blocks on the back here, and you may have to take this on and off a fair few times before the model is finished. Oh, there you go. And the last thing you want to do is, because they're self-tapping, is strip it on the inside. Okay, so we've got the main part of the fuselage built, we've got the mechanics in and they're working. Haven't run them yet because we haven't done the electronics to power them. And according to the instructions now, the next step is to look at the cockpit, so which is what we're going to do. So the cockpit is really well detailed and it also lights up, and I'm going to try and show you because it's always good to test these sort of things before you fit them and glue them in, because the last thing you want to do is find out it doesn't work before. And there you go. I don't know whether you can see that at all, but there you go. It all lights up and you get cockpit displays and it looks really good. Maybe a bit bright on that, but we can always look at a way of putting less voltage through. Okay, so we know that works. So the next thing is to mix up some glue and fit the bits in. Okay, so we've got the cockpit and the canopy, and now the next stage is to fit this inside, and then we will look at gluing it in, but only temporarily. So we use some things. So this should sort of just slide in somehow. There we go. So careful, get it in. Okay, make sure you get it into the right place. So push it as far forward as it will go, and then looks like you just need to bring it back ever so slightly. So. Okay, so we've got to the stage now to fit the tailplane, and if you look in the manual that I've got, it shows just one of these hinges. Okay, but the horizontal stabiliser has two holes, and they're not big enough to take these hinges. So what I'm going to do, my plan is I'm going to measure the centre distance, because we need to transfer that to the tail, and drill this out so that they fit, and then glue them in. Once they're in and glued, let them set for a little while, probably about half hour, 40 an hour, so that they are properly set, and then we'll start drilling. We'll drill out the holes on that side and open them out, make sure that it'll fit. Okay, you need to make sure you get this the right way up. There's a recess on the bottom of the horizontal stabiliser, so it goes recessed down, sits in there, and this angle here should stop it coming down too far. Okay, so the first thing I've got to do is open up these holes. I'm going to do it half a mil at a time. At the moment they're 3 mil, so we're going to start with a 3.5 and open them out gradually. So the next stage is to fit the horizontal stabiliser to the fuselage. Okay, now it's going to be epoxied in, but unhelpfully, unlike on the stabiliser, they haven't given us any holes to start with on the main fuselage, so we're going to have to put them in ourselves. Now, I've measured the housing space there, and it is 17 millimeters high and 13.5 millimeters wide at the narrowest point. So what we need to do then is mark out 2 holes here, drill through and open them out and glue in, and then obviously before we glue in, make sure that the stabiliser goes on level, so we'll get a bit of a spirit level, and we'll make sure that it goes on level and glue it in. Okay, so okay, so we've got it wedged in position. I'm going to let the glue cure for as long as possible, and I'm going to take off the side panel and take off this side panel and add some more glue in from the other side just to help it set a bit better. But it's all in position, it's all level, and it's looking good. Okay, so here we have some epoxy resin, and it's been thickened with some micro balloons, and we're going to use this as a filler. Not micro balloons, microfibers, because microfibers are more structural, but we've made it quite thick so it should hold its. We can just get it in there and pack it around the bits that we need to. So we just leave that to go off now. We just check the level, which is still good, and that will all be held in place and it won't ever move. Okay, I've soldered up the new speed controller that's going in here. Didn't feel that I needed to show you how to solder. Most of us can solder. I'm not very good at it, but I do my best. But what I did want to talk about was the system we're using is a 12S. And if this is your first 12S system, how to wire up the speed controller might be a little bit confusing. Now, to get 12S from two 6S batteries, you need to connect them up in series, which means you connect positive to the speed controller. Okay, it goes into your battery and out of the negative on your battery, which then goes into the positive on the second battery and out of the negative on the into the speed controller, which will give you the 44.4 volts or 12S system. Okay, so we're using series. Now you can connect batteries up in parallel. Now, by connecting batteries up in parallel, you're increasing the overall ampage, but not the voltage. So if you have two 4,000 packs, okay, your total ampage then with two batteries connected in parallel will be 8,000 milliamps. Okay, so in series you increase the voltage, in parallel you increase the ampage. If you've got any questions, please put them on the Facebook page. But that's how to connect up a speed controller for 12S system. Okay, I hope that's helpful, and this is only aimed at those guys who are first time at 12S. Time to fit the speed controller, and let's use these pair of scissors. Just under here I found a convenient spot. Now I'm going to fix the speed controller with double-sided Velcro, so that should I not like it in that position, it's easier to move. Okay, so we can stick the speed controller in down there, and got two batteries sat here side by side. These are 5,200 packs. They're out of my Kraken. They're getting a bit old now, and they'll need replacing soon. So I'll probably replace them with two 5,000 packs, probably Maniacs packs, because they're quite good. These are Align packs, but they're quite good too. So okay, so all the flying controls are working. Okay, so we're just going to check on direction of the main rotor head. So
motor idle,
motor's in standby,
motor on,
okay, so the motor's spooling up but nothing's happening, which means we've got it the wrong way round.
motor idle, motor off.
Okay, so we're going to power down and simply swap around two of the cables, and that should make it go in the correct direction. Okay, so connect up again. Okay, so
Motor idle. Motor on. Motor off.
Okay, so the model appears to be working okay. For some reason everything's flashing, but it's probably we need to swap some bits around. So I'm just going to power down. So next stage is to fit on some details on the decals. Time to apply the decals to the model. The ones supplied with it are the ones we're going to use temporarily. Bear in mind that we do have future plans for this model, but in the meantime we're going to do it straight out of the box. Okay, so the decals that are supplied are water slide, which means that you need to soak them in water for a period of time so that you can slide them off and put them on the model.